Welcome to the Extreme Channel. We have some controversies to settle today. But before that, you're probably thinking, the name of this guy. That's right. Hey guys, Mr. X here with an anime statue for you. That's right, I have an anime statue for you, and this guy's name is Guy. Very original. Let's get to the controversy right away because everybody loves drama. And I actually want you to put what you think in the comments below. The reason why I want you to do that is because every time you enter a comment, you get entered into a drawing to win a monthly prize. We are also giving away another statue. On our road to 20,000 subs, we are giving out this Mortal Kombat statue at 12,500 subs. All you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification and stay tuned for that giveaway. So first controversy. When I put this guy on my Extreme Acquisitions video, I said that I don't know anything about this character, but I'm going to buy it. One person commented, you know, I'm guilty of doing that too. I buy statues just because I like the way they look. They're a work of art, they're beautiful, they're badass, and I may know nothing about it. And sometimes it makes you want to get to know about that character, which we're going to talk about. And someone else commented that it's really stupid for you to spend all that money on a character you don't know. So I want you to put your opinion below. That's controversy number one. Controversy number two is how to pronounce what this statue is called. And the reason why I say that is apparently I said it wrong, which is very possible. So I went online and I looked at all these different YouTube videos, and everybody pronounces it differently. They say there's a Japanese way to pronounce it, there's an English way to pronounce it, and we're just going to shoot from the hip. So if I pronounce it in a way you don't like, guess what? I found 20 different YouTube videos that all had different pronunciations, and they all said it's correct. So this is from the Japanese Naruto series. How'd I do? Did you like that? And this is Might Guy right here fighting Madara. And he's not only fighting Madara, but he is almost killing him. This is an epic battle in one of their episodes. And I don't know too much about it, as I said. I do know Might Guy has entered the 8th ring or something of that nature. That's why he's all fiery. But we're going to look at all that with concept. I actually saw this on Cisco's video. I think it was WonderCon or something like that. And it was just fantastic looking. It really kind of took me aback. And I've been looking to get into more anime statues. Not because I enjoy the series. Some of them I do, but most of them I don't have time to watch. And I just thought this looked incredible. And I saw that Big Bad Toy Store actually had it for $8.99 with their $4 shipping. So I was like, you know what? Let's give it a whirl. This will go with my fantasy section, my anime section at my office. And there's pros and cons, which we'll talk about in the review today. So let's start that review with concept. Now, the cool thing about this is I actually watched the episode where they had this epic battle. Of course, it was subtitled in English. It was interesting because I think this is a little bit of interpretation of what was actually going on. It was actually very hard for me to follow the episode, maybe because I'm not used to animes or maybe at just this particular one. However, Might Guy got that power from the 8th ring, whatever that means, kind of turned him into this fiery type creature. And you see that he is flying through the air. I really like that. It's a very action dynamic statue, extremely, probably one of the biggest dynamic ones that I have. He's flying through the air with assumably a flame dragon that has been created that he is using to defeat his enemy, and his enemy is getting plowed into the ground, and you see smoke and dirt and rocks flying everywhere. This billowing smoke is also behind Might Guy. And it's just badass expressions. I like the motion of it. Everything flows properly. Like this is a real frozen scene that they brought to life. Very, very cool how it's done. The dynamic aspect of this alone is kind of what turned me on to it. And I think it is done fantastically. So it's a little hard for me to judge the concept when I don't know the source material that well. But if I just look at it, is this cool? Does it tell a story? Does it flow well? Yes, yes, yes. I think the concept of this, there's not really much I can improve. So I'm going to give the concept a 5 out of 5 on this statue. And I think this is what really sells the piece. As we jump into the design, I want to apologize for any audio issues or video issues. I'm continually trying different things to kind of up my game for you guys. So first with design, let me kind of narrate the assembly for you guys. This was probably one of the biggest single boxes I ever had, which is great that the shipping was $4. Small little art box on the top, just had the name of the series. And this is Infinity Studios. I don't think I've said that yet. Your classic straps. Here's the first layer, and we're going to look at some of the pieces. Second layer, no breakages, so everything was packed well. Here is the COA. So they made 1,000 of these. Infinity Studios always includes that. And this stick, I assume it's for support, but I ended up never using it, so not really sure. But it was a little complex, to be honest with you. It was more difficult than I anticipated. Most of the pieces did fit in really well. It was just a matter of figuring out not only which direction each piece goes in, but when you should put it in. There was a certain order, and I actually ended up reassembling and unassembling a few different times. And then one of the most difficult parts was actually putting in Guy and Madara. Just, they had to be set in a certain position because everything is touching. So you had to almost bend things a little bit to make sure that it fit properly. And I don't think this was a design issue by any means. The magnets are all incredibly strong, and it just took a lot longer than expected. I wonder if there's an assembly video out there. I guess there is now. That's what we've created here. If there's an assembly video or directions somewhere. But overall, it fits together really well. It just wasn't the easiest thing. As you see, I actually had to go back and forth a few different times just to get it to fit. All right, so let's get dimensions for you guys really quick. So probably the widest point, it's a little difficult because of the way it's structured, but I'm going to say it's right around 22 inches. And the tallest point is 18.5 maybe. And then depth isn't too much at all. I'm going to say the deepest point is about 9 inches or so. Now, you see the nameplate up front. You guys know I'm not a fan of nameplates. I like it in this situation because most people are not going to know what this statue is about. So I'm okay with that. I do wish it was made with a magnet so there wasn't a keyhole so you could remove it if you want. Another real cool aspect is, as you see, it has a light up feature. And the light up feature is actually pretty genius how it's done. So right down here, there's actually a piece that is removable. And inside of that is the light. And they even attached a little lanyard to it so it's easy to remove and put in. And then furthermore, they included a remote. Pretty neat feature. So as you saw, assembly was a little more difficult than usual, especially because there were no directions. But I figured it out, and I think everything's sitting in right. I do have to disassemble it and take it back to my office. And honestly, I was pretty worried about the design with some of the Infinity Studio problems I have had in the past. For example, this dragon, there were some design issues, I believe, with it. This pilgrimage dragon. And I'm a little hesitant because I have a lot more Infinity Studio pieces on order. Another unfortunate part about the assembly is there's some nasty seam lines. So let's take a look at these. So right here, and some of these I don't know how to describe where they're at, but it's some of the pieces that you saw me assemble together. So this is nasty, but it's more visible from the back, which I can appreciate it. And the same can be said about this right where the billowing smoke is starting to come out. Most of the seam lines actually are from the back. So I think that was a good strategy for having the seam lines. But also with this, you talk about the angles. Well, there's a lot of good angles here. It was actually even harder for me to try and take some pictures for Facebook. Go ahead and check out the Extreme Channel Facebook page. You can see the link in the description below, and go ahead and like and follow that channel because I post pictures of stuff before it goes on YouTube, sometimes after. I'll post where this is at in my office collection in a few weeks. So it was hard to get a picture of everything that's going on. So I think that's both an advantage and a disadvantage with the design. So overall, I think there's a lot of elaborate things they did here, which is awesome and impressive. The seam lines are a little bit of an issue. The assembly. Overall, I think design for such a dynamic statue is probably a 4 out of 5. So as we jump into paint and sculpt, I gotta say this is a little bit of a foreign territory for me. This is an Anime Resin Statue. Now, while I collect resin and polystone and PVC statues, I think there are some significant differences on this that I'm used to seeing. And what I mean by that is I think usually there's a lot more detail, there's a lot more texture, and I'm not seeing a lot of that on here, but I'm seeing some other good stuff. So let's dive right in. So first, the rocks on the bottom, the gray rocks. This looks good. Again, not a lot of texture on it, but I like what they did with the paint. They're jutting out everywhere. There's some grays and whites and some shadowing on there, some light shadowing that makes it look good. Not really a big focal part of the base by all means. I do like the nameplate. One thing I like about it is the colors they used on it. While the statue itself is pretty colorful, this just makes it pop even more. And your name is instantly drawn, or your eyes are instantly drawn down here. So now let's look at what I would call the mud. And the mud is kind of splattering up, flowing in the direction, not only behind Madara, but underneath Might Guy. It's just, he's so powerful, he's pushing the dirt out everywhere. And the dirt looks fine. It's a little too smooth for me, and then the colors are a little too monotone, and the rocks that they have mixed in it look okay. Again, I think just some texture would have went a long way in this statue. And then let's look at the dirt / almost what's turning into smoke at the top here. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. Part of it looks like dirt, part of it looks like smoke. It's obviously coming from the dragon that I assume was part of the ring that I assume was part of, the Ring 8 level that he achieved. And I like it. I like it a lot. I like how it's a mix between smoke and dirt. Again, a little more texture. If it was supposed to be smoke, maybe some more gray colors in there. But you see bits of rock. Also maybe a little more dense. I think it's too much of a contrast to the clear resin dragon. And let's look at that. The clear resin dragon looks awesome. With or without the light, there's so many different colors that are going on here. The reds and oranges and yellows. Very, very cool. Very Japanese affluence to it as well, which I really appreciate. And the funny thing is this isn't the main star of the statue, but I think it easily could be. It's done very, very well. I love it's almost like a snake dragon, how it winds around and is forming from the earth, and Might Guy is kind of summoning it. So let's look at Might Guy. Might Guy also looks fantastic. I love what they did with his skin and his body, this dark red, very hellish-like coloring, and then almost looks like he's about to explode from within, what I would almost call these lava lines, that he really can't contain the power that's within him, and he is just in a badass portrait, screaming and yelling, and his hair is a little bit different color, turning to fire, and he's kicking his ass in sandals and these green pants, and just interesting color choices down here. And again, I gotta rewatch the video again to see how accurate it was. And then let's look at his enemy. I love the dynamic pose. There's not really a lot of detail in this, but I don't think there needs to be because a lot of it's covered. The light blue / gray cloak that the enemy is wearing, and notice I'm avoiding saying the name so I don't say it wrong to tick too many people off. And the hair and face, I think it's perfect. I love the flow of the hair. And a slight offset color as well. And same thing with the portrait. A little bit of blood. That's the only blood really on the statue, but the expression on the face is fantastic. And the way it's... Again, a lot of this, I keep talking about the paint and sculpt, but it kind of ties back just to what an awesome concept it is. So overall, when I compare this to like Prime 1 Studios, some custom Marvel pieces, XM Studios, I think the paint and sculpt is a little bit left wanting. More so on the sculpt than the paint. But again, this is new for me. I think this is new territory. So I think I'm going to grade both of those together. What I'm looking at, I think they're very nice. I don't think the paint and sculpt are what sells this statue. They're not bad by any means, but I think it's more of just this awesome concept of everything that's going on, the story that it tells, the dynamic parts, the design, the engineering of the statue. That's what makes it really cool. With that, let's talk about the value. $900, as you saw, such a huge box for shipping. You have a lot going on here. I think it's a little pricey. I know quite a few other resin anime quarter scale statues, and this is actually 1/6 scale. We didn't really talk about that, but this is a huge diorama. So I think the value's fair. It's right in the middle. It's very nice. It's not a huge value by any means. But also, that was the best price I could find on this. I could find a lot more expensive prices in other places. So overall, where does this statue rank? So I think I'm going to have a different grade than people that love this series or are big fans of it. There definitely is more of attachment when you know the character, one of the controversies we kind of talked about. I think it's a very nice statue. I am somewhat disappointed, but there are parts of me that really, really love this piece as well. So I don't plan to continue with this line by any means, but I do plan to explore some other anime stuff. Definitely some DBZ stuff. I already have some of that. And then things like Berserk. You guys know I'm going down that line. Very, very cool piece. Very different. So thanks for hanging in there with me today on the review. Let me know what you think about the controversy we talked about in the beginning. Let me know your thoughts on this guy. Literally. See what I did there? But check out some of these other statues, these playlists here, these other statue reviews, and make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that Mr. X logo if you have not. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.